Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? I got Danny from Gentlemen Rogues here again. This is pretty awesome for me to have a like-minded soul who creates awesome music, and new album coming out tomorrow, since we are at Thursday. And I've had the opportunity to listen to it. I'm totally stoked to fucking talk about it with Danny. Welcome to the show again, Danny.
Hey, what's up, Shane? How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
So Surface Noise hits the airwaves tomorrow. Let me ask my first question. So do you think when you started this over 10 years ago, you'd be still here today putting out music with Gentlemen Rogues?
I don't know. I've actually never really thought about it. I think maybe yes would be an answer that would surprise you, only because I think I'm just like a lifer or something, you know. I maybe wouldn't know it would be this band, but I feel like I would still be putting out music with some band. And this one seems to work out pretty good with everyone who's in it. And so it doesn't surprise me, I guess, that we're still doing it.
No, I mean, and you definitely are a lifer. I mean, from the first time I heard you so many years ago, I mean, guess I'm aging both of us at the same time, but I mean, I can tell with the tempo and the ferocity that you continue to create music, it's never going to stop. So I knew you'd be creating music. I just wanted to see if, you figured when you started Gentlemen Rogues, this would be the place you'd be this many years.
I mean, I guess I knew I knew I'd still be playing music, but I guess the band has been together for quite a while, and it's so I guess I didn't think it would maybe necessarily be this band, but I did not think that either, if that makes any sense.
No, it does make sense. So for those of you who may be new to the show, we had Danny on almost, I mean, it's 2.5 years, almost 3 years.
Yeah, about 2 years ago or something.
Yeah. And I mean, after you were on the show, you had some crazy cool things going on. Steve Van Zandt on a show on XM pulled out Do the Resurrection, which is the lead track off of Surface Noise now, and put it in for Cool Songs in the World. I mean, I don't, maybe it was our conversation and we put it out into Ethos. Who knows? But
we're taking credit for it.
Yeah, I mean, someone has to.
Why not?
You should take credit because the song's fucking killer, and it has been since you released it back then. But how did you think at that moment, starting out and doing what you were doing and all the music you created out throughout your years, like what was that moment for you when you found out you're in the running for the Cool Songs in the World by Steve Van Zandt?
Yeah, that was fun because
I voted for you too, by the way. I want to let you know. So.
Oh, thank you. Oh, for like the coolest song of 2022 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we actually got number 6, so we made it in the top 10. So that's not bad. It's not too bad. Thanks for voting.
Yeah.
Repeatedly, hopefully.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to talk about this for a minute because it almost like requires there's like a slight backstory to it. But we
give it to us all. We want to know.
Okay. I'm going to give it to you. So Do the Resurrection was a song that we recorded. I feel like this is important to the story. We recorded that song like 3 years ago. And we did it. It was kind of like an exercise in trying to write something that was really straightforward and kind of simple. There's a guy named Marvelous Mark who I'm a big fan of. He sounds like he would be like a rapper, but he's does this kind of like super fuzzy power pop stuff, and he's from I think Toronto or Canada, up in that area. And I kind of wrote that song with the idea of like I want to write like a Marvelous Mark type of song that's just like 3 chords, really simple, and just see if I can do that, because I think musicians, we fall into traps where some people may relate to this, where kind of the more like accomplished you become on your instrument, whether it be guitar or drums, whatever, when you write stuff, it starts to get more complicated. Like you're trying to use your skill, you know what I mean? And to the point where like the next thing you know, you've written this song that's like teetering on like math rock or something, where you're like, just because you can, but that doesn't necessarily mean you've written a good song. So I think you can also
create something too hard to, recreate live when you want to go do an amazing song.
Right. And it also, I think too, can be very challenging for people to listen to. And some people like that, like obviously there's genres of music like math rock and stuff that people really love, and they like how complicated it is. Not everybody's into that. And personally, I can appreciate it, but I don't listen to a lot of stuff that's super challenging to listen to. I kind of like music to just be fun, and I like it to just, rock me. So that song was like an exercise in trying to write something really simple and straightforward. And we did the song and we finished it, and we're like, that turned out really great. We should like record it or something. And so we hadn't put out anything in a little while, and we just said, yeah, let's just record that. We did that B-side. That's that Lemonheads Superdrag, My Bloody Valentine kind of hybrid mashup or something. Organic mashup is what someone called it. And we said, yeah, we'll just record these 2 songs and we'll put out a single and 7-inch, see if someone wants to put out a 7-inch or whatever. And then COVID hit like a month after we recorded that single. And so we're, you know how that went. It started as 2 weeks, everyone's going to go home from work for 2 weeks and then we'll come back to normal life and that'll be okay. And then that obviously isn't what happened. And after like several months of COVID and quarantine and lockdown and all this kind of stuff, I was sitting around one Saturday night and I was just like, we were just recorded this really great single, or what we think is a really great single, and we're just going to sit on it. We've been kind of sitting on it for like 4 or 5 months. So I ended up one night just sitting down and just sending it out to like just a bunch of record labels and kind of gave a bio and a link to listen to it and stuff. And within like 48 hours, I think we had 3 labels kind of come back and just express interest in putting it out, which totally surprised us. And that we ended up doing that with Snappy Little Numbers out of Denver, Colorado. So yeah, that was sort of the beginning of writing the album, to tie it kind of back to your question. I think this was your question. But it started so long ago, in retrospect, and we wrote the album kind of throughout COVID, sort of piecemeal, because we didn't even rehearse for several months because everyone's kind of weirded out about being around other people and being in a room with each other, and some of us in the band were more kind of sensitive to that than others, and so we just couldn't all sort of collectively get together and rehearse and write stuff. So it just was a very slow process. We were writing songs and eventually kind of getting back in a room together and playing them, and we just made the album, wrote it and recorded it kind of all during COVID. And even the recording of it, took a while, because we sort of went into it with the idea of, let's just go in and do like record half of the album, and then we'll go back a few months later and record the other half. And just so we're not in the studio for like 10 days straight, that can be kind of fatiguing, I guess is a good word for it. And just to keep the spirit and the energy up, we thought we would do it in like 2 chunks. And but then between one chunk and the next one, there's a lot of things happened with like our guitarist John got COVID like literally the day before we were going back in to record the second chunk of songs. So that got like postponed several months till we could get back in. And it was just like, it was like a lot of kind of hurdles to kind of get from beginning to end with it. And yeah, so it just took a while. What was your question? I don't know if I'm answering it. I think I'm just rambling at this point.
It's fine. Listen, we enjoy backstories of everything. So it was, when it was picked up to the Resurrection, and it was picked up by someone else, like a SiriusXM radio, how did that, make you feel when you got noticed for something as spectacular as Do the Resurrection?
Thank you for reminding me what your question was. So yeah, so to go back to that, because we put that single out, we released the 7-inch, but we still, it was still COVID. So we couldn't go on tour. We couldn't do live shows during that time. No, restaurants were closed, all the venues and bars, nothing was happening. So what we decided to do instead is try something we'd never done before. And that was like make a music video and hire a PR person to like help us promote the single and promote the video and all this stuff. And that was just something we never did. And we did like a 1-month campaign, like a PR campaign to promote the single. And right at the tail end of it, maybe the last couple of days of it, we got an email notice that little Steven had like heard the song and that they wanted to add it to his underground garage SiriusXM station. And they said, we want to do an interview too. Like, and we'll set up some time to do an interview with you as well. So we're like, whoa, it's weird, an interview. And my uncle, who listened to Underground Garage like religiously, he found out about it. He's like, they want to interview you. That means you guys are going to be coolest song in the world. And we're like, what does that mean? And he's like, they're going to play the shit out of it, and you're going to be like promoted as like having the coolest song in the world. They'll play your song like a ton of times every day for like a week. And yeah, and that's what ended up happening. I did end up doing an interview with Manfred on Coolest Conversations, which is like his little show, and we did like a an hour and a half interview or something, and it was super fun. And they played the song a lot, and we got, I think, kind of won over some new fans and sold 7 inches from people who were hearing the song on the radio, and it worked out really, really great.
Well, that's awesome. And when I saw that happening, I was like, that's the moment where like I get very happy for people who, I admire and trust their ability to create great music. And I was just like, this is what I wish the world could be like just someone that you can see the talent, and just giving the opportunity is the biggest thing for me. And I think those opportunities are so few and far between in everyone's life with a lot of different things besides, creating music. But it's just like, it put a smile on my face. I was like, that's what I love to see. Like, this is awesome. Like, this is what the world can do when people start to actually give a shit about, great people and talented people. Like, this is awesome. So I was so excited for that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was exciting for us too. We were, my girlfriend and I, every time we would like travel, we used to, fly to, Montana or Utah or somewhere, and we would go hiking, and we would always like rent a car, and the car would always come with, SiriusXM in it, just sort of for free. So the only times I ever listened to Underground Garage was when I'd be in a rental car, like on vacation for a few days. And I just knew that it was a cool station, and they played the kind of stuff, it's a lot of like garage rock and punk and 60s music, and I love all that stuff. So anytime we'd get in the car, I'd be like, find Underground Garage and let's listen to that. And so what I knew of the station and the fact that we were getting on it, and that Lil Steven really does like handpick like all that stuff himself, according to everyone I've talked to. And so it was kind of, also kind of an honor to that song grabbed his attention, and that he picked it for the show. It's gotten like a lot of radio play, and it still gets played because one of the things that we didn't realize was going to happen was that you get radio royalties. And we didn't think about that. We were just like, oh, cool, we're getting on the radio. We're going to get played a lot on the radio. But then after like the first quarter of that passed, Chuck at Snappy Little Numbers was like, hey, you guys got a check from Underground Garage, like radio stuff, and it's really big. And we're like, what?
I was going to say, what'd you do with those $11?
No, it was a lot. Wow. And that was just like the first check when we were getting like coolest song, and it was getting played, like 15 times a day or whatever. I think they played it every hour for like a week or something. And so yeah, we ended up getting like a bunch of money from that, which was, for a poor, struggling band like ourselves, where like it was immensely helpful. Every dime we made from that song getting on there basically paid for the recording and mastering of Surface Noise. And we basically funded the whole album from those radio royalties. So it was great.
That's awesome. So was it a conscious decision to put Do the Resurrection as a lead track on Surface Noise?
It really was. It was because, for a couple of reasons, because we sort of, the song did really well. I mean, it wasn't like massive hit single, but it did get a lot of people's attention, and it did sort of bring more awareness to the band in general, just like people kind of learning that we exist. And so we knew that the song was liked, and that we knew that people responded positively to it. And So when we did the album, we were like, well, this was sort of the first song we wrote for the album. And we know it's going to get we know people like it. And so we thought, why don't we want to kick the album off with a banger. And we were like, we know this one's a banger. Why don't we just kick the album off with a song that's been tested and proven to be a banger.
Nice. But now I'll do something. I want to Do the Resurrection from Surface Noise. Okay. So let's remove that from the album. And if you're going to sit down with and how you did Sending Out a Song, right?
Mm-hmm.
What other song off the album right now would you say, okay, this is the song I'm going to send out to, that I want people to hear?
Probably the second song. Which would now be the first song it's called Involuntary Solitary.
I love that song.
Yeah, thank you. I like that song a lot. I feel like I'm gonna preface this interview and conversation as like, I'm gonna say things that maybe sound like they're kind of arrogant, and I don't mean it to come off like that, but that is one of those songs.
You can be.
I don't want to be.
It's your creation, man.
Well, and this is actually, I would just remember this. I told you about this song when we talked like 2.5 years ago, because
Yeah.
had just written this song. It was called "I Want to Be Infected," I think was the original name of it, and now it's called "Involuntary Solitary." But I remember finishing that song and just feeling like that. That's kind of a hit. Like there's something about this song that just feels like that's a hit. People are gonna like this song, and
I
it's
I
very very
loved it.
catchy and
Yeah. I
it
absolutely
rocks.
love it. When you sent over the album and I was listening, it's the first song that I went back to. But there was like, for me, there was three that like I was just like, man, this, and one of them came out as a single a while back too. But I was just like, these are the three songs that I'm like, if people don't fucking like these songs, there's something wrong with them.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we were very excited about just the whole album in general. But I would pick "Involuntary Solitary" just because I think it's just a really hooky song, and it's I like uh it just yeah, it just has a good feel to it. It was just felt good when it was finished. It was like this is something. There's something special about this song. It just kind of is like a feeling that you can't really quite explain.
Now, with the album coming out tomorrow, I mean, what is the number one thing that either you're worried about or looking forward to?
Um, I mean, the obvious worry for all of us would be that just nobody likes it. Everybody thinks it sucks. But maybe worse than that is like that nobody even hears it. You know, that's another thing that's like it's there's way worse problems in the world, but it is kind of like difficult to be in a band sometimes. I mean, just like the internal just functioning as a group and you're all kind of trying to achieve the same goal and you got to make sure everybody even shares that same goal and that everyone's willing to kind of do it all together. It's like a team effort. And not only is it just doing a band and continuing to exist and overcome like the defeat that you get with being in a band, you have way more losses than you have successes and you always have to like persevere through that, and just that kind of thing alone is difficult. But on top of that, it's like you're creating something, you're creating music that you want people to listen to, and anybody who says that they don't care what people think about their music and they do it for themselves and I don't really care what anybody thinks, you're lying, and or at the least you're lying to yourself. You want people to like what you're creating. No, an author would never write a book and be like, I don't care if anybody reads it. Like, of course you want people to read it, the same way a band wants people to listen to their music. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that's maybe a worse fear, is that it just goes completely unnoticed.
Well,
I can handle people hearing it and then having an opinion about it, but it would really bum me out if just nobody even noticed that it came out. Maybe that's the fear. The looking forward to is just like being optimistic about it, is that the people really love it, and that it kind of catches on and maybe takes our band to a new level that we aren't currently at. That would be something I'm hoping will happen. Slash, looking forward to sounds like I'm guaranteeing that it's going to happen, but I'm optimistic that it's going to go well. I don't know.
well, how was the release show on the 9th? How did that turn out?
That was good. That was that was another one of those things where like having fears of, is anyone going to show up to the show? Are we going to be celebrating the release of this album we're super proud of, and like there's like 7 people at the show? We were scared that was going to happen a little bit, but yeah, we had a really good turnout. We had our friends band Crocodile Tears, their local Austin band. Cool, like 70s power pop influence. Really good band. And then Stella and the Very Messed are friends of ours too, and they're also a really great band. Cool, interesting pop music that they do, and they played support. We played the album from beginning to end. in order, and yeah, a good crowd came out, and we sold some records and played the album without messing up too bad, and it went good overall.
Well, I mean, there can be some things that, moving forward, you get to look forward to. One is, just the actual release day when it hits, and you get to know that it's in everyone's ears. Like, that's my
Yeah.
big, like, I look forward to that for bands. Like, I get excited when your release day is coming for an album, and when I know it's good and I'm willing to, put my stamp of approval, which means absolutely fucking nothing in the world, but like, I'm like, this is awesome. I hope people hear it. And, I'm going to do everything I can to get it in people's ears. Like, I can't,
Awesome. Thank you.
I've felt selfish all week listening to it, being like, man, I just want other people to hear this right now.
That's cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, we try to be cool too with like the pre-orders and stuff, because we had it available for pre-order about maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and we knew we were going to have the record at the record release show a week before the release date. And so anyone who pre-ordered the record who lived in Austin, we shipped it like early. So they had the vinyl copies like a week before the release show. And if you're doing the math, is 2 weeks before the album actually comes out. And so we tried to do kind of some cool stuff like that, like make sure people who are in Austin who support us, like, get the record really early. We didn't want them to have buyer's remorse too, to show up to the show and be like, why did I pre-order it? I could have like just bought it here. So we were like, well, the incentive will be you'll get it, a week before, 2 weeks before the album even comes out.
Well, that's a true band on a mission. And that's just, that huge thank you that hopefully doesn't go unnoticed by the people that did receive it, and understand that, that's not going to happen everywhere else. Anytime you pre-order something, you usually have to wait 3 months after you already pre-ordered it when it released digitally, and then you're waiting for it. And you're like, wow, man. Sometimes you do get the buyer's remorse. Like, fuck.
I know it does kind of drive me crazy sometimes as a music buyer, that like when you pre-order an album like 3 months before it comes out, and then you get it like a week after the release date. You're like, dang, I could have just gone to the store and had it. But when you get it a couple of days early, that's a real treat. So
yeah, it's happened a couple times for me, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like 3 days early. This is awesome. And then I just blast the shit out of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we tried to do that.
You had some awesome things that I saw. You went back to visit your mom, and you went to the room, which was your old band's rehearsal space, and the door with the stickers of like all the bands that's one of those things where I'm not going to lie to you. This is a God's honest truth. As soon as I saw that, the first thing I did was go get my original guitar from high school out of storage to look at all the old stickers that I knew I probably had on there, and like all the bands that probably aren't bands anymore, and all, like, and it brought back that wave of nostalgia that I was like, I went back and I was listening to Squirt Gun, Digger. I was listening to all the bands that had stickers on there. I'm like, fuck, I love these types of moments. What was that like for you to just like walk in there, get that rush of fucking nostalgia and all that comes along with it?
Yeah, I was in shock when I saw that door. I couldn't believe how intact it was. And for anyone listening who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's like I used to be in this band called Jill back in the 90s, and we were like a pop punk band or something. And we had this rehearsal space that we called The Room, that was in San Angelo, Texas, and we used to do DIY shows there. And it was I don't know how to measure stuff. So it was, could hold about maybe 50 people if you really crammed them in there. And we just had a PA set up, and we would just do these like kind of DIY shows. But we also rehearsed in the building when we weren't doing shows. And we did that for a long time. And we had, because we were a touring band, we would meet bands in cities that we would tour to. And then when they would go on tour, we would, they would call us and we would set up shows for them at the Room when they passed through Texas. And we ended up putting on a lot of cool shows in this little building in San Angelo, Texas. And we had bands that you mentioned, like Squirt Gun, who were on Lookout Records. That was Mass Giorgini, and I know I can't even think of who all was in that band, but who else? Jimmy Eat World played there. Zoinks played there, maybe twice. Who else? Digger played there.
Digger, Latchkey Kids
from Houston. There was just a bunch of bands that came through. I think Game Face maybe came through. We had like a bunch of cool, but no, Game Face canceled. It's all coming back to me now. They canceled the week before because something happened. I don't remember what. But At the Drive-In was booked to play there, but they ended up canceling like the week before. But we had a bunch of cool shows there. So it had a lot of like history for us and for me, and because I did all the booking. I lived with my parents, and I had like my own separate phone line, so I'd always have bands leaving voicemails on my bedroom at my parents' house. I was like 19 or something, but yeah, I went back over Thanksgiving, I believe, and my mom and sister and her husband and I all went and had lunch at this Mexican food restaurant, and it was a few blocks away from the Room. And I was like, I'm gonna, on the way home when we were done eating, I was like, I'm gonna swing in and just look at the Room, see, because I could tell like the front window that was on the building had been like busted out, and it was just like a big hole. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go stick my head in the hole, see just what it looks like. And so I did, and when I looked into that hole, the very first thing I saw was that the old front door that was just laying in the middle of the floor. And we would have bands put their stickers on the back of the door just to kind of be like, hey, you played here, put your sticker on the door. And it was just a way of like kind of documenting all the bands that had come through. And when I looked down and I saw that door, all of those stickers were like, they looked like they could have been stuck on there like 2 weeks before I'd seen this door. But it had been, 25 years or something since I'd seen that door. And I just couldn't believe how intact it was. I was I took pictures of it. I was like sending it out to my friend, like guys that were in jail, and everybody was just like, holy shit. Maybe, for us, it was special and it was like fun and all that. But yeah, it was kind of a treat. And then over Christmas, I went back, and my sister's husband Monty had a truck, and I was like, can we go get that door? And so he and I drove over there, and we did a little heist job and got in the building and took the doors. Now the door is currently in my mom's garage in San Angelo, Texas, but I possess the old front door to the Room with all the stickers on it.
That's awesome. Well, do you have a standout memory from that space?
It's so many. We practiced there, and San Angelo, Texas in the 90s, it's a city that's developed a lot in the last 20 years. There's like skate parks there now. There's lots of like restaurants, and there's like art museums, and it's not like there's a lot more culture there than there was when I was growing up. When I lived there in my teens, I lived there from 4 years old until I was like 23 or 24. And we just skateboarded all the time. And once we got into music, that was like our whole life. And we literally would practice every night. And just because there was nothing else to do, like we weren't really like party guys, and we weren't going out to bars, and we were, first off too, we were young, we were 17, 18, 19, we were young dudes who just like, we worked stupid jobs. I worked at a movie theater, and we just would rehearse all the time, mostly because we were like just hanging out, we were just like hanging out. We'd play music for a while. We'd sit around for an hour just hanging out, play music for like another hour, just dicking around, like it was just out of boredom. But we literally would practice almost every night. It was weird. So that's kind of a fond memory because Gentlemen Rogues, we practice like once a week. And that's like lucky if we can all get together once a week.
Yeah.
But to think back on this, we used to rehearse like 6 nights a week. It's ridiculous in retrospect, you know.
Well, I mean, at that it was so fresh, right? And it's that visceral feeling of something new and wanting to be good at everything, right? Like that's wanting to succeed. Like sometimes, when life starts to get in the way, when you get older, and that feeling is hard to always bring back, but when it comes back, it immediately. You're like, oh, wow, this feels amazing.
Yeah. That's just there's a lot of, the shows were always really cool. Like I remember the Zoinks, that band Zoinks, they were on Dr. Strange Records.
Yep.
They were buddies of ours. We toured and played with them in like Mobile, Alabama, I think, just sort of randomly we just happened to be on the same show, and we just kind of hit it off with those guys. And when we would tour out to, Reno and where they were from, we would play with them, and they came through Texas a couple of times and played at the Room. And I for some reason that show sticks out to me as being like really fun because we loved Zoinks, and they had just put out a record that was like them as a 4-piece. So it's like Arnie had joined the band, and they just put out, I think they put out like an EP or something, and just every song on it would just kick ass. And we were like, God, this band's so good. And we just loved them, and they were our friends, and we played that show, and I remember we like had a great time. And I don't know, that's, if I picked a show, that's the one that sticks out to me the most, is that Zoink show just being really, really fun.
Nice. Now, when you started playing music, what was the first band name you ever came up with in your head?
Oh God, coming up with band names is like the worst. It's so easy to come up with a really terrible band name and really hard to come up with a good one.
That's what I'm looking for. The terrible things that, because when you start playing music, same thing for me, is like the first thing you think about is like a logo and a band name instead of focusing on trying to be good at your instruments or
actually like writing songs.
Yeah.
The very first band I was ever in, I was just the singer, and I didn't play guitar. I hadn't even thought about playing guitar, but I was a massive fan of like the Descendants, and I was just like, I wanted to sing in a band, not knowing if I could. I wanted to try it. And my friend Tucker had started playing guitar a few years earlier, and we were both into like The Clash and Descendants and 7 Seconds, and we were all into punk rock and stuff. And so UK punk and like the sort of Southern California punk or West Coast punk. And so he and I started a band, and we were called the Nocturnal Pigeon Boys.
That's what I'm looking for.
There it is. Big old stinky turd of a band name.
Oh my God. Those are the moments that, though, you get to look back and just go, what was I thinking? But it was so much fun, at the same time.
Well, I think that, like, you think about, you'll hear these stories about like where people got their band name from, and I think with that one, it's sometimes it sounds like a really cool story, and I think the way we got that name is like everybody picked a word or something. Like, just say a random word. What's the first word that pops in your head? And then we got 3 words, and we combined them together, and that was kind of how the name. That's my memory of how we came up with that name. Is everybody just wrote down a random word, and then we pulled them out and said, okay, here we have pigeon, the word nocturnal, and then we just stuck them all together to make a band name. So stupid.
Well, it is, it's not stupid, but it's not smart. Let's just put it that way. Let's not.
Right. Yeah.
In today's day and age of creating music and listening to all the different crazy shit that's out there, like all the subgenres that everything gets labeled as, what kind of label when you have to put a label on a band, what label do you put on Gentlemen Rogues when somebody's like, what are you?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a hard question, and it sucks. But in today's day and age, you kind of have to give a fucking description. That a lot of times I just tell people, listen, it's just fucking great music. Go listen to it. But with all the play in the playlist world we live in the Bandcamp subgenre
Yeah.
world of everything, where do you think you fall in?
I think that this is like a topic that's interesting to me, because one problem I feel like we've always had as a band is that we've never really understood where we fit in with genres, I guess. Which is kind of funny, because what we do is not weird at all. It's very if anything, I think it's pretty like accessible music. Um I tell people that we're like a power pop band, but I know myself that that's not completely accurate. I just I feel like we have a little bit of kind of like a power pop thing. There's a punk spirit to what we do. There's a kind of an indie rock element to it. I dare say, like a slight emo kind of bit to it at times. And so I feel like we sort of like sort of dance in a couple of little bits of genres that kind of in the end, just I guess sound like us. I don't know. I don't know. We don't have like a super unique sound. I think we're just making like rock and roll, and it's got hooks, and it's pretty catchy. Has like a punk rocky spirit about it, but I would never say we're a punk band. So I don't know. I don't know if that's really answering your question. I think what I've been doing with like posters, we're going on tour in March, and made some posters, and I always think like, if you're going to a city you've never been to before, and they're going to see a poster for the show, like you can't just look at a band's name, and not every case, and I guess in some cases you can, and sort of understand what it is. So I always put like a little description under our band name, and it just says punky rock and roll from Austin, Texas. And so that's maybe what I would call it, punky rock and roll. Hooky punky rock.
Hey, listen, you're allowed to drive on a 5-lane highway and listen to the album in every single lane. Like that's
There you go.
It's totally fine. And I know it's a hard question, because a lot of people don't go into creating music to fall into a lane, right?
Yeah.
It's just you're creating music that entertains you and you feel is good and special, and you're allowed to not fall in somewhere. And I know it's a hard question, and I apologize for asking it.
No. There's no, yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's, you don't have to apologize. It's definitely strange though, because it's like, yeah, like you said, you don't set out to be a certain thing. I think in some ways you do when you're first starting out. You are trying to kind of sound like your heroes a bit, and
well, yeah,
until
you pull from what influenced you.
For sure,
because that's why you get into doing what you do.
And I think that's how you learn too. It's how you learn how to write a song, and how you learn how to play an instrument, and you kind of you listen to things that you're essentially trying to emulate until you find your own voice. And I feel like with our band, we definitely have our own voice. I don't feel like we're trying to sound like anybody. But that being said, people could hear us and probably go, and of course they're going to say it kind of sounds like blank, or it kind of sounds like that. I think it's natural that the same way I would describe us to people, they're going to compare us to people, Yeah,
you can't. It's really hard to get away from that. I don't think I've ever tried to tell somebody, who a band is, and not say, hey, that whole, if you like this, you'll like this thing.
Yeah. I do that myself. Like if people ask about the band, they're like, what kind of stuff do y'all play? And if I just say, oh, it's rock and roll, it's too vague or whatever. No one's going to like, what kind of rock and roll, Chuck Berry, AC/DC, like what exactly are you doing? So, I usually will describe us as like something like the Replacements meets like Superchunk or something like that. I don't know if that's accurate, but I'll go, no, it's kind of like the Replacement. I actually just compare us to things that people have told me we remind them of, and I just regurgitate that back out.
Yeah, it's a good way to go. Going off of what somebody already said to you, instead of coming up with your own that sometimes may sound nothing like what you think it is.
Right. We've heard that a few times, or like that we remind people of the Replacements. We've heard Superchunk a couple of times, Husker Du a couple of times. So I just kind of go, that's like the Replacements or Superchunk or something like that.
In your recent memory, especially how the music is, it's the vomiting world of music where there's 60,000 new songs uploaded every day to Spotify. Is there something that's reinvigorated your love that you heard that was like gives you that hope for music to continue doing what it did for you at a younger age?
Like, do you like hear something that like,
yeah, did you hear a band or an artist and like just gave you that? Remember when you were young and you would hear something for the first time and you would just have this special feeling about how good music can be? Has there been anything in recent memory that was just like gives you hope and that shining light and puts a smile on your face?
Yeah, I feel like the last time I heard a band that got me like really excited, that I was kind of in shock at how good it was that band The Beths. Do you know The Beths?
Yep, from
New
Australia.
Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand, Australia. Yep.
Yeah, they're when their first album came out called Future Me Hates Me. Funny enough, we'll tie this back. I heard them on Little Steven's Underground Garage when I was in, I think, Montana on a vacation. And there's another show that would come on in the evening that was like, I think it was like Rodney Bingenheimer's, whatever. I don't remember what his show was called, but he was like that LA DJ, and he had a show on SiriusXM, and he played a Beth song on his show, and we were driving back to our cabin or whatever, and I was like blown away by how good it was. And I was like, man, who is this band? This sounds incredible. And we got back to the cabin and we had Wi-Fi, and I like looked them up and found that first album was, you could pre-order it. It wasn't even out yet. And so I did, like, based on the strength of that one song I heard on SiriusXM in the car. And then I got the whole album, and I just like was just in shock by how good it was. And I would just listen to it nonstop for, I swear to God, a month.
Yeah, and that's the moment I'm looking for. I remember the Beths when I first heard them, same thing. Like, I found them on Bandcamp and the album hadn't come out yet. And I had heard they were playing in the city, and I went to see them, and they were like the opening band on a 4-band bill. And I was like, they're like, they didn't deserve to be there, like at that slot, because they completely owned the show. And then next time they came back, which I think was last year, I couldn't even get tickets to the show. Like, it's just like impossible. I'm like calling connections, and I'm just like, yeah, I can't even, like, there's no way. Like, this is crazy. I'm like, that's so awesome, but at the same time, like, so crazy. Yeah,
they're really great, and they deserve all the success they've had, and it happened for them pretty quickly. They seemed like they just kind of blew up when that album came out. But that's probably the last time I heard a new band I'd never heard before that was kind of putting out their first album or whatever, and that I was just like, good God, that's really a good album. And I couldn't stop listening to it. I was obsessed with it. I was like telling everyone I knew, like, you got to listen to this album. It's so good. And everyone I turned them on to it, they were all just like, oh my God, this album's so good. So, something to be said about that. I mean, it excited a bunch of people because they kind of blew up real quick.
And those are the memories. That's I love the sharing part. Like, I love finding something that I love and just be like, you got to hear this. And everybody being like, yeah, this is so good. And that's the feeling I live for every day. And especially when doing this show, like, I live for being like, hey, you got to listen to this.
I've been on that same topic. I've been like old bands that still make good music. I've been really liking the new Alkaline Trio album. I don't know if you've heard that one, but
I have.
It's great.
Yeah. And I like the what was it, Electron, that whatchamacallit, Skiba did. There was another band right before the Alkaline Trio came out.
I don't know. I don't know if I know.
I don't know if you checked that out. Yeah, Electron, Lektron. Yeah,
Electron. I'm gonna write that down.
yeah,
And that was right, kind of recently.
yeah. It was recent. I want to say maybe
Electron.
not even 6 months.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
I know he had that band called Heavens, I think was the name of it. And it was kind of like a Joy Division-y kind of thing.
Yeah, and those guys, they're just all of them. It's just mute. Like they never stop. Like it doesn't matter. Like what am I gonna do? Like here's 30 songs I wrote today. I gotta have an outlet to put it out.
Yeah, well, and to mixed results too, because for me, Alkaline Trio was a band that I really liked when their first record came out, and I still really love the first one, God Damn It, and the second one, Maybe I'll Catch Fire.
Yeah,
they got a little. This is my personal opinion. They got a little too like gothy for me, like for a period where I was like, they were doing like the guy liner, and we're like I'm a member of the Church of
MCR made it big. Yeah, like My Chemical Romance made it big with Guy Liner and wearing black, and Alkaline Trio jumped on that train even though they were around well before that.
Yeah, and I think they got a little too gothy for me, where I kind of was like, this is corny, and I sort of stopped paying attention to them. And then I heard some songs off that album, My Shame Is True, and was like, "Ooh, this sounds good." And so I kind of followed them off and on for a long time, but I heard the singles off their new one, and that song "Bad Time" was like the second single they put out, and I could not get that song out of my head for like 3 weeks. I was just like, "Man, that's a good song," and I just listened to it over and over, and the whole record's great. There's really it's an interesting album to me because it gets better the more you hear it, but it's also one of those albums that like it gets better as it goes, like to me, like the first 3 songs are maybe my least favorite, even though I like them, they're my least favorite. But I feel like once it hits like track 4 and from that point on, it's like it just slaps. That's what people say, right? It slaps.
I don't know if they say that anymore. I mean, I haven't heard it in a while. Yeah, I haven't heard it in a while.
4 through 10 slap. Yes, that's really good. I love it.
Now, I mean, we are here and recording, and the fact that you are back, are you my first repeat individual guest? You might be my first repeat individual guest. I don't know. I've been doing this for too long now. It's hard to keep track of everything. But
well, if that's true, I'm honored. Thank you for having me back.
But I want to give you the opportunity now to tell everybody how to find and listen to the album that comes out tomorrow, and gets to go out, and if they haven't already, buy all the stuff and do everything they can to help you. Right now, tell everybody how it is to find everything that you're doing.
You can find our album, which comes out tomorrow on the 16th of February, on our Bandcamp page, which is gentlemenrogues.bandcamp.com. It's gentlemen, MEN. There's 4 of us. So it is plural. You can get the record directly from us. I'm shipping them out of my house. We have 2 different vinyl variants. A transparent electric blue, which also has an OBI strip on it that's hand numbered. And then we have another version of the record that's red in milky clear. So it's like a red center, and then the outer color is like a milky clear color. And it's being co-released by Double Helix Records out of Arizona, and a local label called Shifting Sounds is going to be also kind of releasing it. So it's like a two labels involved releasing it. Comes out tomorrow. 2 different vinyl variants. It'll be streaming everywhere if that's your preferred method of listening to things. If you want to buy the record, you can get it directly from us. You can also get it through Hello Merch. And if you're in the UK and Europe, you can get it through Shifting Sounds Bandcamp page.
Nice. Well, I hope everybody goes out, buys it, sells out really quick. You deserve it. You've created something extremely special.
Thank you.
Can't wait for people to hear it. It's just on my lone ears right now in my household, but I can't wait for everyone else to hear it.
Awesome. Me too.
So now's the time where you've done this before. We're in our weekly 3 segment. It's 3 things you're listening to that you'd like people to check out. You give your 3, and then I give my 3.
Okay, I do remember this. Let me see. So, okay, one thing I've already talked about this, but one thing I've been listening to is the new Alkaline Trio album. I've been listening to that a lot for the past week or so since it came out. It's called Blood, Guts, and Eyeballs. I think I'm not gonna say a return to form, but it feels like I don't know. I feel like they kind of knocked it out of the park with this album, and I think it's inspiring when a band can be around for such a long period of time and still like manage to put out good music, not just like a good song, but like I think my personal opinion is the whole album is really great, like from start to finish. And I was just, when I heard it, I was sort of in shock that I was like, damn, this is really good. So and I've been listening to that a lot. I like lots of like older music, so a lot of things that I listen to are not current necessarily, but another record I've been listening to lately is a band called Au Pairs. It's Aupairs. I think it's French for like a babysitter. I think that's what that means.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They put out an album in 1981 called Playing with a Different Sex, and it's post-punk. I mean, kind of like the best way I could probably describe them is like a female-fronted Gang of Four. It's like kind of that type of vibe. What else have I been listening to? I gotta pick one more thing. I've actually been listening to the new Green Day album that a lot of people have been hyping up as being like it's as good as Dookie and American Idiot, and it's been kind of promoted as like it's part of a trilogy. It's like it's a classic Green Day album, and
it's been promoted that way. I wouldn't necessarily say
that's why,
but
that's why I said that too.
Yeah.
So I'll give my thoughts on it, and I'd like to hear yours. And this doesn't have to be one of your 3. I think that they could have cut some of the songs off of it, and
facts. Yeah,
and they could have made it better with a few less songs. Like it's 15 songs. That's too many, in my opinion. And some of them are a little throwaway. I think that song, One-Eyed Bastard, I think, it's like track 4. That song is dumb. It's like, why is this on here? Why did y'all even record this? Not to mention, it's kind of a Pink ripoff. There's a Pink song that's like she's singing the guitar, like the guitar lick in their song is what she's singing in her song. It's almost note for note the same thing. So there's another thing where you're like, why did you not realize you're stealing almost note for note from a Pink song of all people?
How did you not know? Song? That was my question. As soon as I heard the guitar riff, because that was like the first song that was thrown out, right? And I heard that guitar riff, and I was like, oh, are they covering Pink? Like before the song even, like, I was like, wait, they're not. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking weird for a band that big to not. And an engineer and a producer and a mixer to be like, yeah, no, you're fine. Like to have never heard that.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I just think that song is dumb. I don't think it's a very good song. Obviously, it could be someone else's favorite song on the record, and that's fine if it is. My personal opinion is it sucks, and I don't know why they included it. And that song by Pink that it rips off was like a huge hit for her too, which is another reason why I'm like, how could you not know what you're doing here? But there's a few other songs on that album too that I think are like, it's just not that great. But with that said, if they would have cut that thing down to like 10 or 11 songs, I do think it could have been considered like a straight up like return of that band, because there are lots of really good songs on it too. There's just a few that I feel like sort of take away from the overall quality of it by just being like, it's too long, and there's just a few songs on it that just aren't that great.
Yeah, when I was listening to it,
it's just say it's got way more good songs than it does bad, though. To its credit.
Well, that's what. So I kind of had a similar reaction. I was talking to my friend about it. He's like, "Oh, did you hear the new Green Day?" I did. I like a majority of it. I go, but all I have to say is just because you recorded it doesn't mean you did put it on the album.
Right.
And that was just it. And he's like, I get it. He's like, yeah, no, I was like, listen, it is good. I'm like, but there are songs where I'm like, just because you recorded it doesn't mean you got to let everybody hear it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I with that One Eye Bastard song, I'm like, I don't even know why you demoed it. I don't even know why you finished writing that song. That's how stupid I think that song is. But hey, I sound like I'm being a real turd about it, and I don't really feel that strongly about it. I do kind of see what I feel like that album could have been, and it kind of bums me out that I'm like, God, why didn't anybody consult me about this?
Yeah.
I could have helped you make a stronger album by telling you leave that song off, leave that one off, leave that one off.
Hey, we're basement critics. We're allowed to say whatever we want.
That's right. That's right. Armchair philosophers, I guess. I don't know.
Well, all right. Awesome.
What are your three? What are your three?
So my three, and I do have an honorable mention in here this week for the first time and for obvious reasons.
Okay.
First one is a gentleman by the name of Harrison Storm. The name of the album is Wonder, Won't You? ? He's an Australian singer, songwriter, and I described him to a person like I did earlier in describing music to people, as a Ben Howard meets Bon Iver. And it's one of those things you can put on and just have in the background, and it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Sweet.
The next one is a band called Cordiform, Cordiform. The name of the album is Growth and Despair. They're an Australian pop punk band.
Okay.
Staying in one continent right there. And last but not least on the threes is an artist by the name of John Allred.
Mm-hmm.
That's Allred. He's got an EP out called The Rain. Singer-songwriter, beautiful voice, great songs. Sometimes may make you feel a little weepy, but he's doing what he's supposed to. And my honorable mention for this week is, of course, Gentlemen Rogues, because you sent me your album a week ago, and I listened to it over and over again. And prior to coming on, I had it blasting through my speakers in the studio because
Awesome.
I needed to get that feeling again from when you first sent it to me last week and got to listen to it. And yeah, I listened to it probably, want to say, so I did my 5 ways of listening to music. I did all that. And then I did a couple more, just random, kept throwing it on. So you get the fourth, the honorable mention, because
Beautiful.
I 1000% was listening to your album all week. So
awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Glad it warranted repeated listens. I feel like my picks for my 3 were too mainstream.
No, it doesn't have to be.
2 of them were.
It's what you're listening to. And
yeah, there's fun. Yeah,
you're allowed to listen to. I've had mainstream thing. I've had the Rolling Stones on here before because that's what I was listening to at that time.
Yeah,
the Hot Rocks, compilation that they put out is one of my favorite albums of all time. So, and you're allowed to love stuff.
That's right. That's right.
But man, this has been so much fun. I appreciate what it is you do. I've told you this before. I think you're a spectacular musician, spectacular human being.
Thank you.
Couldn't be happier for you with the new album coming out tomorrow. I can't wait for other people to hear it. I know it's going to blow some people away. So I'm just excited to be a part, to sit back and watch everything you're doing, man. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Yeah, thanks, Shane, for all the kind words and for having me back. I'm honored to be the first repeat guest, if that turns out to be true. If it's not, then it's okay too. But,
I really think you are the absolute first, not the first repeat band, but the first repeat guest. There have been 2-part series, but it was all one interview of a recording. But
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, thanks for having me back, and thanks for just supporting us and all the kind words. And yeah, I really appreciate you.
Well, everybody know what time it is now. Go out, listen to Gentlemen Rogues, especially Surface Noise, which comes out tomorrow, and have a great fucking time.
your charms. I must have been stretching the truth, 'cause I swore you fell for me too. If I love you, what business is it of yours? I can't carry on borrowing trouble. I'm too deep in debt to be devil may care. I think of you and get white knuckled. It feels like I'm acting on a dare, and gravity releases me. I burn up on re-entry. I'm neurotic or you'll be unsubtle. I wanna see how I figure in your eyes. You're a close book, give me a clue. I'm half empty, half a fool for you. If I love you, what business is it of yours? I must have been stretching the truth, 'cause I swore you fell for me too. If I love you, what business is it of yours? I love you, what business is it of yours? I love you, what business is it of yours? I love you, what business is it of yours? I love you, what business is it of yours?
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.